So your join us now in the pit lane at Donington Park. We'll just let this Exige peel out in front of us. Just had a brief red flag period there, so hopefully we can get back out on track now and get a few laps in, and we'll give you a quick tour of the place. And off we go, get up to speed as quickly as we can. Brief red flag period there, so we know there's shouldn't be anything barrelling down the main straight, but always worth checking your mirrors anyway, just as you're pulling out, as it's quite a short pit exit, and it does feed you right out into the braking zone of turn 1 there, so always worth paying attention. So we had a few laps on track just before we had to pull into the pit, so everything should be up to a reasonable temperature, so we can get on with things fairly swiftly. Our first lap out should be a reasonable fire, such as my skill level allows. Outlap's just a nice opportunity to bring everything back up to temperature, and if there's any quicker cars behind you that you can see, let them through. It's only a track day, so there's no prizes for lap times, and there's no first place. So if somebody's behind you in a quicker car, always pays to let them through, and it means you can follow them and get some tips if nothing else. So we'll just get past this MG on the exit. So we're heading down the back straight now, so we'll be approaching the Robert chicane. We're using the shorter circuit, so we'll be turning right at the chicane rather than turning left and going round to Melbourne, etc. But get as good a run out of the chicane as you can, and that leads us on to the start-finish straight. And then we'll want to bring the car gently over to the left-hand side for the braking zone for Redgate. Just wait for a quicker car behind us, and then we can drop in behind him. So braking just before the end of the pit lane exit there, turning the car into the first corner of Redgate. You can ride that curve a little bit more than I did on that lap, but it's reasonably flat and smooth. Just open up the steering now as much as you can through the right-hander at Hollywood, and on to one of the best parts of the track for me, Craner curves. Turn it in flat out, just nudging 100 miles an hour. Seem to carry a bit more speed than the Porsche through there. Braking hard for the old hairpin, which doesn't seem to be much of a hairpin to me, but never mind. Porsche is a bit quicker on acceleration out of it. Most of the curves at Donington you can take reasonably large chunks out of them, just being aware not to run too wide on the exits. Bring the car over to the left hand side as we approach McLean's. Turn in again, you can take a good amount of curve there. You can see all the rubber on the right hand side, how much people have been riding the curbs there. And important to get a good exit out of Coppice rather than focus on the entry too much. Get as good an exit as you can, as it leads us onto the back straight again. And it's quite a reasonably short back straight, but it's the longest back straight that Donington has. So build up as much speed as we possibly can into fifth gear, and then braking nice and late into the chicane. BMW braking hard in front of us there. Take as much curve as you can on the right and on the left without hitting the yellow bits on there, and back round onto the start finish straight again. So back over to the left, braking just before the pit exit. So turning it nice and fast into Redgate. Try and take a bit more curb than that if possible, but carry good speed through there, and just as much speed as we can again through Hollywood. Just keep the steering as nice and open, as relaxed as you can, just to help build up the speed before throwing it into the Craner curves. Try and get the car straight on the exit before braking into Old Hairpin. Again, take all the curve. Bit of a gaggle of cars ahead of us. It's getting a little bit busy. Is the Porsche going to let us through? Yes, he's letting us through there. He has seen us. We'll dive through. And then we'll try and hang on to the back of the BMW as much as you can. I think we might not be too far off in the corners. I think we'll lose a little bit on the straights though, but never mind. Tricky to pick a turning point and an apex for McLean's there. It's Coppice, sorry, should I say. It's a little bit blind on the way in, but a great corner. But if you can get the exit right, then you really can carry some good speed all the way out onto the back straight. And I think we've got a little Fiesta ST that we can maybe have a little play with now. It should be a fairly similar pace to us with a bit of luck. took a slightly better speed down to the chicane. I think he's letting us pass there, so we'll see if we can pull a bit out on him, let the Golf past us on the left-hand side. And we'll go back round to another lap. Braking as hard as we can, turning a little bit late there, so we can't quite hit the apex on there. I'll try and get there one of these days. And the Golf has certainly got the legs on us heading into the Craigna cars, but we'll see if we can nibble a bit of speed back through him in cornering. We'll see how we go. Again, I can see there's another gaggle of cars in front of him, but it looks like there's some relatively quick stuff in there, so we can press on fairly well. It's just worth being careful through the uphill section here. Just make sure if a car is letting you through that he definitely has seen you, and just be wary of quicker cars heading through. You might be taking a nice sort of middle of the road line, and a car might think that you've seen them to let them through. So it just pays to be attention on the mirrors there and at what's in front of you. So he backed off on the right hand side there. I don't think we've quite got the power to normally outdrag a BMW M3, but get past this Audi heading up the hill there. Again, just really making sure that he's seen you before you dive up the left hand side. Everything nicely up to temperature and a nice bit of clear track in front of us. We'll try and push on for this lap and make it as quick as we possibly can. So nothing too much behind us at all, so we can bring the car nicely over to the left hand side, just being aware of cars coming out to the pit lane that won't be up to speed yet. Braking nice and late into this one, just before the pit entry pit exit joins the track, and try and get it over to that curve on the right hand side through Redgate as much as you can. Just opening up the car now as we head through Hollywood and drop down the hill towards the Craigna cars. Absolutely love this left-hander here. Throw it in, carry as much speed as you can, around about 100 miles an hour normally. We've got a car, Radical, just coming through. He's a little bit quicker than us, so we'll let him through, and Caterham as well, and then we'll hang on to them for at least half a second until they disappear around the corner. Heading up the hill now towards McLean's. Just keep the car as open and as straight as possible to carry as much speed as you can. Try not to scrub too much off before we're braking for McLean's. Check it in, take a good amount of curve on the way in there. Don't run too wide on the way out. Donington are reasonably militant about track limits on the exits of cars here, so just something to be aware of. And carry good speed through Coppice, so that gives us a really good run out onto the back straight. As late as we can and carrying as much speed through the chicanes we can get a good exit and a good run out onto the pit straight to start another lap. bring the car over to the left-hand side as we cross the start-finish line, just being aware of cars coming out of the pit lane on the left-hand side, as that's right where we need to be when we're braking for Redgate, the first corner. Brake as late as we can just before the pit joins the racetrack. Chuck it in, take a reasonable amount of curb on the right-hand side if you can, nice and flat on the inside there. Open up the car as much as possible now through Hollywood. Don't need to be particularly hungry with the curves on there, just let the car build as much speed as you can before you go into the left-hander of the Craner curves. Brilliant corner that, nice and fast. Brake as late as you dare into Old Hairpin, take all the curb you can on the right-hand side. Open the car up, let it build its speed as you climb the hill. Again, don't need to be taking too much curb or worrying about too much here, just focus on keeping the steering wheel as straight as you can, but bring it over to the left hand side. Brake nice and hard but uphill into McLean, so you can always brake that a little bit later than you think. Let the car just run out nice and wide on exit, but we'll let a quicker car past us on the left hand side. Bring the car back over to the left hand side again, carry as much speed as we can through Coppice and on to the back straight. The Clio there wrestling with the limits, quite spectacular to watch. And then the long back straight is, we've got a good opportunity to check mirrors and let faster cars through, but we're gaining on a car as well, so we need to see if we've got enough time to get past him. Maybe not quite just before we go through the chicane, so we'll let him take his line through chicane. I think he's pulling off into the pits, and I think we shall do the same. So that concludes our couple of quick, such as my driving ability allows us, laps of Donington Park. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.